Welcome back to The Young Voter. Today we're going to discuss the legislative news that occurred this week, because perhaps it's the most interesting political news that happened this week. But first, I want to touch on Don't Ask, Don't Tell, where a motion to cloture, to impose cloture and to shut off debate on the military authorization bill, which the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell was attached, failed. Of course, it failed 57-40, so 3 votes short, which is a much smaller margin than it failed by the last time, when it was around 54-40, but still, it's failed. So now Susan Collins, now Republican of Maine, and Joe Lieberman, independent of Connecticut, want to sponsor a standalone bill, a bill where the only purpose of the bill is to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So they're co-sponsoring that bill, and hopefully it'll come up in debate next week, and hopefully there'll be enough time to debate it, because a lot of Republicans want to push it further and further away, especially into the new Congress, where there are more Republicans, and it's unlikely that Don't Ask, Don't Tell will be repealed. Of course, again, to reiterate, public policy polls suggest that an overwhelming majority of the country supports the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and also, when in this recent military study that was conducted, 70% of servicemen said that their day-to-day operations would not be affected if they knew that their squad member were gay. So again, it's being filibustered for the sake of being filibustered, but hopefully when this bill stands alone, it'll be passed, which would be good, because it might be a little difficult passing with military authorization, because there's some spending in there, and Republicans can sort of snipe, and they want to. A big problem was Republicans wanted to put a lot of amendments in this military authorization bill. Now, if they pass just Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the repeal of it, then it's pretty simple. You can't really put many amendments in on other. So now hopefully it'll be easier to get some Republicans on board to vote for it. Another issue, of course, is the START treaty, the treaty with Russia that President Obama signed over the summer, and now has to be ratified by Congress, and have to be ratified by 2/3 of the Congress. So that's 67 votes. 67 votes. So that means they need Republicans. I think by the latest count, it's 9 Republicans they need to pass this, and it seems now, with support from people like Dick Lugar of Indiana, Susan Collins and Olympia Snowe of Maine, and a few others, including Scott Brown, among other people, now it seems like this treaty will pass and will be ratified, hopefully within the next week, as it seems the legislative session for the current Congress will end at the end of next week, so around December the 17th or so. But now to the biggest item of news of the week. The tax cut compromise, of course, that President Obama engineered with the Republicans. Now, we'll remember from 2008, when Barack Obama ran for president, he said that he would let the Bush tax cuts expire for individuals making more than $200,000 and families making over $250,000. The tax cuts for the, quote, rich and powerful, he wanted to have expired. Republicans, of course, wanted and have made it expressly clear that they want to keep tax cuts for everyone, or at least the current tax rate. They characterize it as a massive tax increase. It's interesting because it would, I mean, yeah, you can characterize it as is. Yes, it's an increase in your tax rate, and it's not really a tax cut. I mean, it's a very weird way of characterizing. The point is that the Republicans want tax cuts for everyone. The Democrats want them for those making under $250,000. So what happens? This weekend, with very little chance of success, the Senate failed in 2 votes. The first one was for those making under $250,000 extending their tax cuts. That failed, 57-43, or something along those lines. Again, this is the cloture motion, to shut off the filibuster and be able to actually vote on the bill, because now everything's filibustered. And then the other one was for millionaires, for everyone underneath $1 million to get the tax rate, and those above $1 million to have their rates revert back. And that failed, 56-44, or something along those lines. So again, the Democrats failed, but apparently they wanted to get on the record that they wanted to push the tax cuts. But now Obama took a step back and said, well, I give up. I give the Republicans the tax cuts for the rich, and I let the estate tax now drop, or what the Republicans like to call the death tax, which is really funny. You're charged for dying, to bequeath your possessions, etc. Very charming. It's lowered from 55% to 35%, and for everything under $5 million is an exemption. So again, people that are bequeathing in excess of $5 million, their tax rate is 35%, which is, you'd think, oh, well, it's a decent, I mean, it's a big tax rate, okay. But right, to put into perspective, they've been charged so far 55%. And anything under $5 million, oh, no taxes at all. What? No taxes for anything under $5 million? I mean, what? I don't understand. But Obama's touting this as a success, which is interesting because liberals are running for the exits, okay? The Democrats on Capitol Hill even, which a lot of people don't like to call liberals because they have some interesting points sometimes, they're running for the exits too. They're like, what? What? 77% of the country, or 67% of the country, according to different polls, oppose tax cuts for the rich. Okay? Certain people even want all the tax cuts to expire, but the majority just want them extended for the middle class, those making under $250,000, and obviously the lower class, poor, etc. But more about 3/4 of the country don't want the tax cuts for the rich. But Obama's like, oh, well, the Republicans won't give me won't give any votes, so what am I supposed to do? What can I do? Well, I mean, there's a lot of liberal commentators have said, and I'm not going to reiterate. I mean, obviously, if you want something passed, you put pressure on them. You'll be like, oh, I give up. Then nothing would be passed, which nothing has been passed because nobody has been willing to fight. You go to senators, Republican senators that are in danger, okay? I mean, Olympia Snowe, I think, is up for re-election, or Susan Collins, one of the two main Democrats, is up for re-election in Maine. And Scott Brown is up for re-election in Massachusetts. Are you kidding me? A Republican in Massachusetts, he's probably looking around, he's like, who's going to shoot me first? But the thing is, you go and you're like, okay, here are your poll numbers. Here are the poll numbers. 3/4 of the country want middle-class tax cuts. You support them, or else you get screwed in 2 years. We will destroy you. I mean, it's very simple. But I mean, it's not about me. I mean, let me know if you're in favor of extending tax cuts for the rich. Now, the Republicans make the argument that, oh, but if we raise anybody's taxes, the economy's going to tank. Okay, and now they're saying that there's the chance of a double-dip recession. And up until this point, they've been saying, oh, there's no chance of a double-dip recession. We've passed that chance. There's really no chance. Now, of course, to push this deal, they just said, oh, no, there's a chance of a double-dip recession if we don't give tax cuts to the rich. What? Okay, the average tax cut for the rich will be $70,000. You think they're just going to go out and spend it all? Oh, I saved $70,000 on my taxes. Okay, well, I'll just go buy a car. What? People don't have time, okay, to $70,000 to a billionaire and a millionaire is not that much, okay? And there are groups out there, there's a group called Patriotic Millionaires that have urged Congress, do not extend your tax cuts. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, they're like, the tax cut rates for the rich should be even higher than the pre-Bush era tax rates. They should be massively higher because the rich can afford it and they don't need the money. But for some reason, the Republicans want to protect other rich folk. They just want their money. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Yeah, I guess they'll invest it. Other interesting parts of the tax rate is, of course, capital gains and interest taxes. They're maintained at 15%, so people that have a whole stash of money in the bank and don't work, billionaires, of course. Oh, they only have to pay 15% on the money in the bank. That's accumulating interest. And that's a lower rate than most people pay. I mean, certainly a lower rate than teachers, firefighters, policemen. I mean, you can go on forever and argue about this. And what do the Democrats get in return? Oh, a 13-month extension of unemployment benefits, while the rest of the tax cuts are extended for 2 years. And apparently, the payroll tax, or one of those taxes, is lowered by 2 points or something. And maybe there's a child tax credit. But the funny thing is, this tax deal is going to cost more than the stimulus. The Republicans were always railing about the $787 billion into this. This tax cut is going to cost the range between $800 and $900 billion. Cost the government. Oh, deficit, won't you go away? Well, certainly not when you're spending $900 billion on tax cuts you don't really need. And trust me, I'm not the only one being vociferous on this. And there are a lot of Democrats in Congress who are not taking this. For example, the Congressional Democratic Caucus voted in a private luncheon. Of course, it was a non-binding vote. They said, "Oh no, we don't want to take this to the floor. We do not want to vote for this." Of course, several members afterwards said, "Oh well, I mean, I'm going to yell at the Republicans and I'm going to talk about it, but in the end, I'm going to vote for the tax cuts." What? Do you fight? I mean, if politics is about fighting as well, it's not just about, "Oh, I give up. I give up." Come on. But the person that I really respect and who today was very strong, Bernie Sanders, okay, the independent from Vermont who caucuses Democrats and is a self-avowed socialist, he conducted a massively impressive speech today. From 10:30 to 7, okay, Eastern Time, Bernie Sanders was on the floor of the Senate talking, okay, about why this tax cut package is a bad idea. And of course you can find excerpts on YouTube and on C-SPAN, etc. But Bernie Sanders, okay, for 8.5 hours, he was basically filibustering. He wasn't just threatening a filibuster like the Republicans always do. He was actually conducting a filibuster. And interestingly enough, what other senators supported him? Mary Landrieu of Louisiana, who is generally considered a rather conservative senator. She thinks it's ridiculous as well. She thinks it's outrageous, morally corrupt. And she was also one of the people who wanted to protect BP after the oil spill. So, I mean, she's a fairly conservative senator, Mary Landrieu. But she's outraged as well. Sherrod Brown of Ohio. Okay, they were also teaming up with Sanders to deliver this filibuster. And it seems that at least 30 or so Democratic senators have said no, they're not going to vote for this. So who knows, maybe they could. With some Republicans, it seems that even Jim DeMint is like, hell no, about the, especially for the deficit, the increase in the deficit. I mean, it's possible that there won't be enough votes on Monday when Harry Reid scheduled a cloture vote to be able to bring this bill to the floor. Who knows? But again, it's your opinion that counts, okay? And we say 75% of the American people are opposed to this tax cut for the rich. I don't know. Are 75% opposed? Write on this blog. Let me know. That's what the polls say, but the polls might be wrong. But the politicians really need to hear what you think. It's more importantly, write to them. Tell them what you want them to do, because in the next couple of days, tax policy of the next few years could be decided. In fact, Obama said he wants to massively revise the tax code in January. Oh, another tax fight. All right, well, that should be fun. All right, well, thank you again for listening to The Young Voter.